Good morning. Uh, Gus, that was it felt like a bit of an extended
It did,
update.
didn't it? Well, what made me laugh was when they said spice weather.
Oh, that was brilliant. That's good. It's good that they have these updates. I didn't hear what it was. What did it say?
I think it's a little bit of sun with a little bit of showers. I think something on those lines.
Some snow and some wind and some.
Well,
Well,
that's kind of probably on its way.
I know the weather's changed, hasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it has. It has. I mean, we're in September, so I think, hey, we can't complain. We've had a fantastic summer, and
Yeah.
we're about to enter a new season, which I think is beautiful. I really love the seasons, um, because in some countries like Dubai, you don't have any seasons.
Um, we don't. We don't. Sorry. And and it is now September, the 5th of September, and it's interesting, is what it is. Has the world continued to go to pot? So there was anyway, we better do the official, the proper kicking off, starting of our um, radio show. Good morning, listeners and viewers. You are listening to Amar and
Yeah.
live on our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM and across the internet.
And each week we'll try and bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can't help. We can't help. So, in the poll, in one of the foremost polls this morning, I was listening to the prediction, and a year ago, I think it was a year ago, maybe, or maybe not that long ago. Anyway, whenever it was, Nigel Farage was thinking about becoming an MP. Now, based on polls, is potentially going to be the next prime minister.
Yeah, but so just on that then, Keir Starmer's been in power, what, a year or so?
Yeah, a year and a bit now. Yeah.
So what, are they going to have like snap elections or something?
No, no. As in, when I say the next prime minister, obviously there's another 3 or 4 years left, isn't it?
There's 4 years to go because it's a 5-year term now, isn't it? It used to be 4-year term, but it's not a 5-year term.
Mm. Um, in 5 years, I don't know. As in, it's
Well,
like
so
when I'm
in 4 years'
like,
time, I
it's
just
a
think that
bit of a
I,
flexible, fixed term, isn't it?
yeah, I just think that if they really want reform in and Farage in, they'll probably disrupt things where there'll be some kind of something happens where they'll have to do snap elections.
Mm. No, no, no. What I mean is, I don't know if they will or they don't. Who needs to do a snap of election? Why would a
Well,
party in?
if everyone's really paid at Labour and everything that they're doing, and there's so many things that happen where
Mm.
there'll be like a no confidence vote. I don't know. Depends on what the powers that be really want to do, because everyone seems to be rooting for Nigel Farage, don't they? Like even like Elon Musk and them. So I'm sure behind the scenes they'll be working with people if they really want them in to unsettle things.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The deep, what do they call it? The deep state.
The deep state.
so,
Yeah,
so I think if they really want good old Nige in there,
mm.
they'll probably find ways of making it happen.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
But Amar,
Uh,
I think you know what, the the things are just you feel regardless of who's in power, and things are just so bad. And I think it's most people seem to say the same thing. I just think it would be one of those. And if anything did happen, I think the country would vote him in. As wouldn't it? If there was an election tomorrow,
well,
wouldn't
no,
Farage win hands down?
if there was if there was a election, they would definitely be voting him in. So there's there's no doubt of that. What that then leads to is probably more civil unrest. So knowing what I know, right, and from a security perspective, Jaff, right? From a security perspective, for the last 7, 8 years, right? For the last 7 to 8 years, not the last year, or not the last couple of years, for the last, I'd say, 7, let's just say 7, maybe not 8. For the last 7 years, the concern, actually it's not, it's actually only 5, but for the last 5 years, the concern has been civil unrest. Civil unrest. So people coming to the streets, taking to the streets and fighting.
Well, I think they're stirring things up that way, and it would not surprise us if things. I mean, things are not in a good place at this moment in time. I was listening to this interview from Viktor Orban. Is it Orban, the Hungarian leader, right? And this is just I'm just repeating what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he was saying that it was part of George Soros' plan and planned this like 15, 20 years ago to have like this mass immigration into all European countries, because it would lead to the diminishing of the original identity of that particular nation. And you know the argument about what is Britishness and ABC and some of the values that we really love. And even though that our parents have migrated into the country, that we've encultured ourselves into because of the great British values that there are, obviously retaining our own identity at the same time and finding that happy balance, the happy medium, that was going to be put under threat by mass immigration in all of the countries. And it's going to cause, like, put pressure on the systems. It's going to change the dynamics of a nation, of a region, the communities. And eventually, I think we're at that phase at the moment, and they're looking for that civil unrest. I don't know what agenda they have, but it seems to be going. So that's what Viktor Orban was saying, and that was one of the reasons why, you know, he's got particular policies on that in his own country. And it's interesting that it's just not come out of the blue. It's just not something that's just happened. It's obviously been planned for a very long time. And what the end game is, if it is to create civil unrest, I just can't understand why a group of leaders want to kind of create that to our country and other European countries.
Yeah.
It's sad, isn't it? Because everything that Britain stands for, when I think about Newcastle upon Tyne, I just love the city so much. It's such a beautiful city, such beautiful people. Whether you're talking about the general infrastructure and the way that the nucleus of the city, and I live in the city centre every day, and I just think about it, and I'm like, wow, what a city. You've got an amazing nucleus in Gray's Monument, let's say, and the way it stretches out onto Grey Street, onto the quayside, you come to the river, and you got all these iconic, you know, you got the bridge, you got the Glass House, you got the Millennium Bridge, you got all these iconic milestones for the city, for the region. And why would why would you not want to just enhance that, develop that, make that better instead of someone sitting there thinking that, yeah, how can we, break everything that's beautiful? It's pretty sad. And it seems to be happening right in front of our eyes.
And I think it's across the board, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like the level of division. And interestingly, if you think about it, Jaff, I think part of the biggest issue that affected society and communities and created such levels of division probably was a bit of, there's a whole host of things, right? But probably a bit of COVID, right? Because that truly isolated people. And then the economic shocks. So the biggest issue, as far as I'm concerned, is money. Right? Because if and people don't understand, and I'm simplifying everything. I'm oversimplifying everything. And the reason why I'm saying money is because why are people genuinely upset? Right? It's because they see these other people who are working, so ethnic people who have a work ethic, right? But they've taken all the jobs, right?
Yeah.
And these other people who are coming over here, and in the grand scheme of things, yes, there's a few 100,000 people coming, but we've always had migration and people coming and going, and no one looks at how many people have bloody left, have they?
Yeah, and it's the cream that's leaving, though. That's the problem.
Well, that's the point. That's the point, right? So what's happened is the haves, right, and the have-nots, and it doesn't matter how much you have. You don't need to be significantly rich or whatever it is, but the haves versus the have-nots and the perceived have-nots, that has increased, and those that have are being sort of hit over the head to say, well, you need to take more of you. We need to take more of you, rather than equipping the have-nots with the work ethic, productivity, and an understanding how to go and make money for themselves. So it's, you can talk about health, you can talk about happiness, but the single route to depression, mental health, stress, arguments, everything is money. It's finances.
It is. And debt, Lamar. Debt.
It's both, isn't it? It's paying debt and servicing that debt and realizing that, oh my gosh, I'm in so much debt. And then the second B is not having enough money so you don't get into debt. I mean, the freeness of debt is profound. It's even with all the checks and balances, everyone's in more debt than a very long time. And it's
never before. I mean, you'll find that the debt levels in the household, the burden of debt in each household will always be more than what it's ever been before. I bet you that's the case without even looking at any statistics.
Oh, no. As in we could look at statistics, but it is just generally people's lifestyles, people things.
Yeah, so it's a very, very difficult position. It's a vicious cycle. It is probably, from what I've seen and heard, and when I'm speaking to people looking at businesses, it's probably the most economically challenging period that this country has faced in recent time. And I think the implications on every single home is massive. And I think there needs to be something done pretty drastically that's gonna really turn things around and reverse the direction in which things are going. But I'm not really looking forward. I don't really have much faith in the Chancellor and what the next budget is going to bring, because I'm actually fearing that they're going to make it even worse by the decisions that they're going to make.
I mean, it's scary, isn't it? Some of what's being suggested, and it's those decisions that were made earlier on. Those decisions that were made earlier on that sadly have allowed for us to experience what we're experiencing. Actually, I mean, I'm unaware, and I'm trying to sit here and think. I don't understand, right? And there's only so long you can keep talking about, oh, well, we inherited this and we inherited that. And I understand if you're in a big tanker, it takes a while to turn it around. But after a year, like a year and a bit, it's like, and you've introduced policies and you've scrapped other policies and you've done all of these things. And it's like, we are paying more for our national debt, and we're paying more voluntarily for that. So we're getting more into debt. It's like some of the financial policies that exist. It was really interesting because I was listening to Richard Tice, right, Reform MP, who would like to be the Chancellor. And he was explaining, or he was being quoted as explaining what he would do with a number of policies. And that's, I mean, to be honest, sadly, or whatever which way, because we're politically neutral, or we once we mention politics, sadly everyone feels worse off. And actually, if you feel worse off, the likelihood is you probably are a bit worse off. Despite retail sales going up quite significantly, not significantly. Retail sales over summer were quite good because of the weather and everything else. So people were buying more, shopping more, and whatever else. But they're still less than what they were last year. But the point of all of this is, from a political perspective, right? The reason why people are now looking at alternative parties. So the Greens have done well, Reform's doing well. I mean, it'll be scary in Newcastle in May, Jeff, because there's an election, local election, and that will transform how the city's going to run. As in, like. And despite potentially, but in any event, the likelihood is it'll turn into a hung type of governance. And this is what I've been predicting for the last few years, is because of the division, next election, we will not have a single sole overall majority. No, right? Because it's shifted. It's shifted to such an extent. So independent, there'll be more independent MPs, right? There'll be more Reform. There'll be more Green. Jeremy Corbyn's party is allegedly going to target quite a lot of young generation. And then the other Labour and Conservative will have some MPs, but nowhere near, potentially, based on some of the predictions and the polls that are being undertaken. Scary.
Yeah. And as I said, it's just such a shame that that you could be doing what you're doing to this amazing country that we live in and that we love, especially our local areas and the city itself, and seeing that kind of change and everything, seeing so much difficulty in other fellow human beings, Amal, just doesn't sit right, does it? People are struggling. So many people are struggling, and these are like not the well-to-do, intelligent people that they've been disciplined. They've focused. They've done their studies. They're like professionals. They've got good jobs, families, and for them to struggle and make decisions on, oh my God, tighten their, we have to tighten our purse strings, and what do we do? Do we go out? Do we not go out? And can we afford to go to restaurants as we used to go to restaurants, or afford to, upgrade, I don't know, our wardrobes and ABC? And there's so many things that people are saying, which is, I think it's just frightening. It's not like they've the bums of society. These are like highly educated, intelligent people that are beginning to struggle because of the situation in the economy.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
So don't know what the future holds, and just like as I said, whether this councillor and whether the chancellor is going to be able to fix things in the next budget, I'm just not really confident at all. So anyway,
what else is up? Football, obviously.
I don't suppose you can get us 6 tickets for the match against Barca, can you? I'm sure you got some.
Better connected than I.
I think the number of people wanting to go to the Barcelona game, and then the number of messages that I'm getting. I said, well, can you get me some tickets? I said, yeah, well, I'll ask my mate Amar, because he's really well connected. I'm sure he's going to have a few that he's going to be able to get a hold for us.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure. How many people have asked you, Jeff? So anyway, talk us through what's happened at Newcastle. What's your understanding? And everything else. Talk us what.
And it has been a horrible window. It really, really has. For me personally, I'm just absolutely devastated that Alexander Isak has left. I think I've got quite a lot of understanding and information on that situation, because I've got some connections with people within the club, and I do follow all the local journalists and those in the know. And I think with the Isak situation, this is what's happened. 2024, end of last season, there was promises made to Isak, not concrete promises, just hearsay. Amanda Staveley would have said to Isak's camp, "Look, you've been top, you've done a fantastic job, and we're gonna get a new contract for you, and you deserve it." And they were like, "Oh, brilliant." Sat with the agent to formalize what was informally offered to him by a owner, but it wasn't anything solid. Change of sporting director, Paul Mitchell came along, and he basically looked at it and he said, "Well, hold on, you've got 4 years left on your contract. We're not giving you a new contract." I think that's a mistake from the club, because, and you'll know I'm not in business, if you've got an individual who's out, let's say you've negotiated, and I know that from experience, you've negotiated a fee with your manager, one of your general manager, and that general manager's come on board and they're just doing a phenomenal job, and they've added so much value to your business. Automatically, if you've got an empathetic element, like I've done this and I've seen, oh, you deserve a pay rise because you're just so good. So you just do that before they approach you, because it's your responsibility to see that. So the club should have done it and they didn't. That's the club's mistake. But beyond that, so Eddie had to work really, really hard. It wasn't just Isak, because Anthony Gordon also, back in the last season, because of PSR, when we lost Elliot Anderson and Yakuba Minte, there was talks of letting Anthony Gordon go to Liverpool, and his head was twisted and turned, and they had to settle him down. They had to settle Isak down. That's how we got off to a pretty slow start, because Eddie had to deal with lots of fires. So anyway, Isak's camp got into a bit of a hump. That, well, okay, you didn't give us a new contract, and they were really, really upset. and then Isak he wasn't settled, but Eddie tried his best, got him settled, and then got to the cup final. Isak was tremendous, had a great season, got to the cup final. He did his best, focused, won us the cup. First time in 70 years, everything was all good. But following the cup final, there's allegations that was made by Luke Edwards, and it was in the Telegraph, that Isak basically tooled down, and they were already considering moving, and they wanted to, and Liverpool, Liverpool have tapped him up, and Van Dijk and co were in his ear. And after that, he tooled down because he didn't want us to qualify for the Champions League, because if we did, it would have been getting out of Newcastle would have been a lot more difficult. But then they had made their mind up to go. Liverpool saw an opportunity, tapped him up, and basically he made things so difficult for the club, so difficult for Eddie, because he just went on strike effectively, which is absolutely whilst I'm sympathetic, the club made a mistake. They should have given him a new contract. But the way he conducted himself is absolutely shocking, and it's not acceptable. So he was 100% wrong with his behaviour, and eventually it came to the point that the club felt that, you know what, he's causing a toxic environment, and it's best for him to go, because Eddie needed to close that door and really focus on moving forward. So from it's so hard. It's a bit of pill to follow, Omar, that we've lost one of the best strikers in the world to a rival. And Liverpool are our rivals. They are a much bigger club. But right now, Omar, we are rivaling Liverpool. So for them to take one of our best players is absolutely shocking. So anyway, that's the whole Isak saga, and I think I've summarised things pretty bang on, and that's the reality of the situation. So we've moved on to got this new kid, Nick Woltemade is how you pronounce his name, along with Johan Wissa, to try and replace Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak.
Mm.
So there's that. But I think the club, it's been difficult for the club without a new CEO, because Darren Eales has taken like a year and a half or something to find a CEO. No sporting director, but we've just appointed David Hopkinson, who's got massive pedigree. He used to be at Real Madrid. Most recently, he was at the Madison Square Garden. He's been at New York Knicks and basketball and another baseball team. So he's like a high-profile chief executive, and hopefully he's going to come and really, stay with us for a good decade and take us into this new era, and where we should really, in 5 years' time, we should be deemed and seen in the world's eyes as one of the biggest football clubs in the world, with a new stadium, new training facilities, world-class players, and A, B, C, and D.
Yeah. So how do you think we're going to do?
Well, I think obviously we're in the Champions League. The draw is out, and the first game, is against Barcelona on Thursday, the 18th of September. I think as a squad, we're far stronger than last year. It's a matter of, we don't know whether we can cope without Alexander Isak and the impact that these two strikers are going to make. We hope that they can fill the void collectively between the two of them. Only time will tell. Your hope is that they just bed in, and Eddie is going to be so focused he'll get the best out of the both of them. And we really hope that commentators are commentating saying that, well, Alexander who? Because Isak comes and fills in his position. He's nowhere near as good as Isak, but I think the team is functioning really, really well. We should have won the first 3 games. If we had Isak, with a power striker, we would have won those first 3 games.
All 3 games would have been ours.
Yeah, we would have had 9 points. So Isak's cost us 7 points as well. So I hope. Look, I think what I do feel, Amar, and I don't know if you feel this or not. When Eddie Howe first came to the club, everyone was saying that, well, Eddie Howe is going to do an interim job, and he's going to stabilize the club, and then we're going to get a top manager for us to move to the next level. and win trophies. I feel the tables have turned where Eddie Howe, because he's been outstanding, he's proven himself to be an elite football manager, and he's won a trophy. And I think everyone in the industry is now beginning to recognize, hold on, this manager he's actually a serious manager, and he's up there with the best in the country. Now, for me, I'm so proud that Eddie Howe is our manager, and I feel that Eddie Howe is that manager that's going to take us to the promised land. I don't know what your feelings are, Amar, but he's that good, and he's done such an outstanding job. He's turned the tables around.
He's just a genuine guy.
Yeah,
as in no pretense. He's just, as in, I mean, I don't want to probably announce this publicly, but as in, my daughter and his son are in the similar type of space, educate. So I see them, as in, and they're just nice people. They're just genuinely nice.
There's that. But for someone like him to represent Newcastle United, he represented with so much honour and so much pride. Yeah. And he is going to be like a legend at this. I just hope that, for me, I said this to someone in the Premier League the other day. I said to them, look, Eddie Howe, I'm hoping that he's going to be recognised. They should start doing documentaries on Eddie Howe right now, because I hope that he goes on to become a national treasure, because I hope he becomes the most successful English manager in modern history. And
the fact that he is, I think he's not England.
He's English. Shouldn't we be shouting about that, Amar? When is the British guy?
It is brilliant.
It's brilliant. Amar, isn't it ridiculous that you're bigging up all the foreign managers, right? What about Eddie Howe? He's an English manager. He's one of our own, and we're not even talking about him in that way. Why not? All of his management team, they're all English. And I think it's brilliant, because it's something that we as a nation, we've not had a top English manager. It's always been foreign managers, and I don't get it. So from that perspective, so proud. So and hopefully that now, I think PIF think, oh my God, we need to keep a hold of Eddie, because Eddie's going to take us to the promised land, and I'm just so happy that that's changed. And I think he was the one that selected Eddie Howe anyway. I'm sure he knows a lot more than us, and he feels that himself. And I think that's really, really, that's we've got so much stability, Amar, because you've got managers that change in other clubs. Look at Man U; they're still struggling after Fergie left. So I think we're in a really, really good place. I just hope that his signings work, and I hope that these two strikers work well together. I think hopefully David Hopkinson is going to come and make some big announcements, and he's going to introduce such a big feel-good factor in the city around new stadiums, training ground, sponsorship, A, B, C, and D. So I think we're in a good place. Obviously, Barcelona on the 18th. I mean, honestly, the number of messages that I'm getting of people interested in going to that match, it's just incredible, and it's so good to see and good to feel. But we're only a couple of weeks away, and the world, one of the world's most famous teams comes into St James's Park, and I think we'll give them a good game. Hopefully, we'll beat them. So we've got Barcelona. I think after that, there's a couple of away games. The last game in the Champions League draw is away against PSG, which is on the 20th of January or something. So I think this new format, there is a chance that hopefully that we can kind of progress to the next round of the Champions League, into the knockout stages. So we just have to see how the games go. But I think we're in a good place. Window's finished. I think we're definitely a stronger team than last year. We've got strength in depth, and hopefully we have a better season than last season.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is. I think it's a great reflection, and I think the other part is, I read a really interesting article on how, sadly, PIF had done very little to help us, and had funded so many of the other top teams through their various acquisitions, through bringing in players to Saudi, hosting a big cup where there was a lot of income generation.
Yeah.
So from a financial perspective, it was really interesting the way that it demonstrated how PIF's investment in the World Cup and this and that and whatever else and various other players had given Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester, all of the top tier teams who have got loads of money had actually boosted them to be in a position to pay for Isak and things like that and buy players and some of the transactions. And also because we're PIF owned, there's a PIF tax on everything that we buy, isn't there?
Yeah.
The Saudi tax.
Yeah, so you're referring to obviously the Club World Cup, but I can tell you an inside story on what happened there, Omar. So I had someone in the restaurant, Manchester footballing guy, and he was explaining to us. He said, "Well, look, what happened was the Club World Cup, FIFA, they started this initiative, the Club World Cup, which Chelsea just won recently. Okay." Now they got into trouble because there wasn't enough. They need money to be able to fund these things, and there wasn't enough sponsorship. There wasn't enough big organizations that believed in the Club World Cup because it was just the first one. So what PIF did was they said, "Well, hold on, how much do you need?" And FIFA were like, "Well, we need £1 billion." They were like, "All right, then look, we'll give you £1 billion, but there's a condition. We'll give you £1 billion, we'll support it, but we want the next World Cup." So the next World Cup went to Saudi, and PIF funded the Club World Cup. So if you look at it from PIF's perspective, even if other Premier League teams are benefiting, such as Man City and Chelsea,
strategically, no, you're absolutely right. There's no question about this. I can understand and appreciate from a strategic perspective, right? There's no doubt about this. This wasn't a criticism of Saudi's strategy. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is brilliant. They are using soft power, right? They are using soft power everywhere to position Vision 2030, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Everything and everyone is fixated on delivering Vision 2030. What will that do? That will put them at the top of everything that allows them to de-risk themselves from oil, right?
Yeah.
So job, tourism, education, they are now everything. They're putting the structure, infrastructure, F1, golf, you name it. It's brilliant.
I mean, it is, and I think obviously on top of that, they've got their own the Saudi league, and they're buying players like Darwin Núñez from Liverpool, giving them like 70-80 million, which is then allowing them to fund Alexander Isak, taking them away from our own club. But they've obviously got a big picture. But the only bit of confidence that I do have, Amar, when I'm looking at Yasser, in the last game against Liverpool, when we lost. And he made his way down to the touchline because he felt so immersed in that game, and he just felt that he needed to go down and shake Eddie's hand and give him a hug when Eddie was coming off, because that shows that he is involved and he does care. Obviously, they're so big that maybe Newcastle was neglected, but I just feel that maybe it's out of the turmoil, and everything that's gone wrong in the summer, they will now know what not to do. And I don't think they'll allow anyone to do what Isak and Liverpool have allowed us to have done to us this year. I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
I mean, I'll tell you what. The away game, because obviously we already had Liverpool at home. Thank you. We already had Liverpool at home. The away game is going to be interesting, isn't it?
And I think, on top of that, Amar, there's so many other layers, because Richard Hughes, who's the sporting director of Liverpool, right? He used to be sporting director at Bournemouth when Eddie was there. So they're all friends. But apparently Eddie stopped talking to Richard Hughes because they didn't conduct themselves in glory, because they did tap Isak up, and Eddie was like, "This is ridiculous." That he actually withdrew himself from any type of conversations with Richard. So there's so many layers and I think even in our eyes, like I know that like as a Newcastle fan, I just don't. I'm feel Liverpool are bigger rivals than I've ever saw them before because of all of this Alexander Isak saga. You know, they're a
Yeah.
brilliant club, but I just hope that David Hopkinson comes in. He does like lots and lots of deals, financially, you know, takes us to the next level, gives us opportunity to buy as many players as we want, and compete with the top players, and announce this new stadium and get into this new stadium as soon as possible. And all the revenue that will come with a new stadium, it's going to be like enormous.
Yeah.
It'll be like,
I think, yeah, I mean, obviously from a personal perspective, I have a house half of reds and half of black and white, right? So it's like even more interesting for me,
yeah,
you know, is the thing. And it's like I'm really upset, but on one hand, but on the other, you know, it is what it is.
well,
So I'm gonna
you're in a good
miss
position, Omar, because on one hand you might be sad, on the other hand you're gonna find some
well,
happiness
that's it.
somewhere.
You can look at it. You can look at it in different ways and different spaces, can't you? Is what you can. So it's from that. But anyway, it's not called sport business, is it?
Well,
Our
I think it does affect the local economy and stuff, and it's a big deal, big time for the city. It does impact most people.
it
Um,
does.
the
It does.
Champions League and Barcelona, but yeah, I think that's our sport in 20 minutes done.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all interesting, as you say. It's so we've done politics, we've done sport, religion. No, certainly don't want to go there. It's scary what's going on. I'll tell you what I found interesting. Sorry, just world affairs because they can and do affect us. Was interesting to hear and see the UAE criticizing and saying that they will pull out of the Abraham Accords, where if there was any further land grabbing activities.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, just on that, you know, the girl, the 5-year-old girl, what's it, Hind? You know, the Palestinian girl. They've just done the movie on her. Have you watched it, or have you heard about it?
No.
They've done, you know, the girl that said that, look, I'm in a car, come and save me, and I'm going to get shot, and she got shot like 37 times or something, and they made a movie about her in Hollywood, and that's been all over, which is very nice that they have gone ahead and done that. There's so much support in terms of stopping the genocide in Gaza. That support is spreading, but in terms of at the end of the day, though, sadly, no matter what a few actors say, are they really going to stop what they're doing? I don't think so. I mean, it's non-existent. That's going to probably, the reality is the land expansion, the greater Israeli project, I think they're going to.
Anyway, we don't know what we don't know, and we're not here
Well, no,
to
it's not that. The land grab and stuff, it's there. It's
we're
happening everywhere.
seeing the news. We're seeing the news. We're stating what we can't say, and this is all public knowledge, is what it is.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I'm not highlighting anything that's not being said by lots of people. I think that's just a general plan, and it just that plan's coming into fruition. And if UAE are saying that you're going to continue to land grab and we're going to pull out the Abraham Accords, then I don't know how much they're going to value what UAE says. I mean, because who are UAE really? Because if it was the Chinese and the Russians, and UN can't do anything about it. No one's doing anything about it. The United Nations are supposed to be fixing the world's troubles. When they're doing things, they're not listening. So I don't think they're going to listen to UAE neither. I mean, what clout do they have in the world? If you're being honest, not much. Not,
I know.
it's not Britain. It's not the French. You know, they're not on the UN Security Council. UAE, little UAE. So
You see, little UAE, Dubai is a powerhouse. Don't forget.
yeah. Well, financial. Maybe it's in the
As
financial
in,
world,
it's like
but
it's from an economic and
yeah, from an economic perspective, I mean, they've done very, very well, and it's a very lucrative place to go, and a lot of people are moving there. People that you and I know that have, you know, that's become their home, and I'm sure it's like a great city, high standard of living, and all of those things. But in terms of a powerhouse in the political arena, they've never been up there. So
uh, yeah, it's interesting. And then what about global affairs, Jeff? What
well,
can you tell?
I mean, the summit that's just finished in China, and it was a big long summit. You know, the 80th year anniversary of their Great War and their great victory, which they've been celebrating with, you know, a room. If you imagine that there was, you know, you have the Russians, you have the Chinese, you have the India's there, you have North Korea there. I mean,
Mm,
it's about 50% of the world's landmass and population that have just had this big summit, and they're creating some brand new financial system where they're going to create this new the SWIFT system. Is they're going to have their own SWIFT system. They're not going to trade in the US dollar. The petrodollar is going to go on the decline. All of these things, Amar, they're all going to affect us because we're on the other side of that. So if these countries are getting together, and since Trump put the tariffs on India, India said, well, mate, we're just going to start doing business with China.
yeah.
So I mean,
Because China, look at the big North Korea, China, and Russia came together in Beijing. That was
yeah,
incredible, wasn't it?
and India.
And India, sorry,
I
yes, and
mean,
India. Um,
isn't that pretty frightening? Because they're all economic powers. I mean, India is an economic powerhouse. China is an economic powerhouse. Apparently, there's loads and loads of minerals in the mountains of North Korea. And then obviously the most richest country in the world in terms of natural resources and minerals is Russia. So they've got a new pipeline between Russia and China that's going to just keep on pumping gas, which should be coming to us on the cheap, and our electric and gas bills would be a lot lower, and it's not because they've like blew the Nord Stream pipeline, blew it up, so we don't have that cheap energy coming to us. Instead, it's diverting to China, which is then going to develop their economy because everyone needs natural. Imagine how many people you need to feed in China, Amar. 1.5 billion people, and India. So they're given. I mean, so if you lose Europe, is it that much of a big deal to the Russians because of how big China's economy is and how big India's economy is and how big their populations are? So their market, they're probably double since the time that they stopped doing business with us, if they've diverted their focus. So I think all of those things we talk about our economy is that's not going to help our economy, is it? That they're doing their thing without us. Would we not want to be a part of that? Part of that
oh,
circle, part of that group. But our ministers and our leaders are so hell bent on trying to, you know, hold on to what we've had from all those years, the imperial powers, that it's changing, and we're going to be left behind, and that's something that they shouldn't allow to happen, but they are.
yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
But there is a divide forming, isn't there? And I mean, it looks as though that when you look at the Chinese economy and the infrastructure, my goodness, how quickly they get things done. I think it's scary.
Oh, I think it's if you look at what their defense capabilities are and everything else, um, to be able to do what they're doing, but between them, right? China, India, and Russia, it's almost like a new world power, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, it is. It's the BRICS, isn't it? It's the BRICS that they've set up. Brazil,
Mm.
Russia, India, China, and what's the S stand for? I think it was South Africa at the time. So they've got this new BRIC thing that's going on, and I think that's going to be the new financial system, which is going to rival the petrodollar.
Yeah. Let's quickly run through the actual show itself, Jeff, because obviously we've got a script that Jamie pulls together, and I'll rattle through in the last 3 minutes. So this week's headlines, actually, we've covered all of these things. Rachel Reeves confirms autumn budget date for 26th of November amid tax rise speculation. UK borrowing, we talked about this. Costs rise at fastest pace in G7 as bond yields hit 27-year high. Private sector set to shrink as CBI warns Reeves against fresh tax raid. Idea to income, how to turn your side hustle into a real business. Well, it's about understanding what your desirability, your feasibility, your viability, and all of those type of things are. But if you need any help in setting up a business, then you need to reach out to the amazing, wonderful Centre of Excellence. ABC is proud to announce our sponsors. RBC Brew and Dolphin, SME Centre of Excellence, Newcastle Building Society, HWI Solutions, ISS Freeport, ISS Airview. It's brilliant. It's super exciting. And there's going to be lots of people there. And I think that was the extent of our show business nominations. Hundreds of people nominated, Jeff, every single year. It's brilliant. I don't get involved, by the way. I always get these messages. I actually got a message from someone saying, I want this award. And I'm going, great. Put yourself forward. Yeah, we'll go through the process. I just thought it was really odd, really odd. But Spice FM, obviously, there as our critical core partner as well. And Chai Events, who have always supported us with our food and catering and lighting and audio visual. They're brilliant. Super Sandeep Kapoor and the team there. They're really good. Mango.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They do a brilliant job.
Yeah. Anyway, you've been listening to Amar and Jeff. We've still got a couple of minutes, actually, Jeff. I feel as if I'm racing away.
Well, sometimes we do get cut off a tad sooner than 11, but we're nearing the end.
Anyway, whatever you do, make sure you look after yourself. If you do have something that you'd like to share or discuss, drop us a note. We're always interested in other people's views, not just sharing ours. We do spend a lot of time talking to lots of businesses and lots of people to keep everybody informed, and with all of the news, views, and one or two clues. So here's a clue. Give us a clue, Jeff. Top tip. Quick, 10 seconds.
Top tip for what? For business tip? Do not get yourself into debt. Minimize your debt, and you'll live a happier life.
Great advice. Anyway, you have been listening to Amar and
Jeff
live on our weekly